I have done some videos that compared the Blackmagic Design Intensity Shuttle to the Canopus ADVC 110. I made out a chart that showed what the different products could do with different software. Since I did those videos, I think almost 18 months ago now, I've discovered how to use the Intensity Shuttle a little bit better so it can output 4K and even 2.7K to a standard definition monitor. It can also output odd aspect ratios. I want to say that the Canopus ADVC 110 is a standard definition product. It can only capture video at 720 by 480, and it can only play back video at 720 by 480. That doesn't mean you can't create a high definition timeline and make use of the Canopus ADVC 110 to see it on broadcast compliant monitors, whether it's an old CRT monitor or a newer higher definition monitor. It can do that. It can in fact play back a 4K timeline that has the 21 by 9 ultra-wide cinematic aspect ratio and letterbox it correctly. The Intensity Shuttle cannot do that by default 100% correctly. By using Premiere Pro in a roundabout way, though, you can work with odd aspect ratios. What I did notice that if you use Premiere Pro with an adjustment layer and a crop filter, you can do motion graphics that have the aspect ratio come out 100% correct. You can have it play out to a high definition monitor and even play out to the standard definition monitor. Odd aspect ratios like 1280 by 240 or 1920 by 380. Just really odd aspect ratios. The Blackmagic Design Intensity Shuttle can do that. It takes some tweaking in Premiere Pro. I recommend people watch my video. I'll try to provide a link. I want to say that if you have a 4K timeline that was shot at 24 frames per second, with Premiere Pro you could right-click on that clip and have it make a timeline or sequence that has the same frame rate and aspect ratio and resolution as that particular video clip. By default, Premiere Pro, when using the Blackmagic Design Intensity Shuttle, could output that to a high definition monitor, but it could not output it to the CRT monitor. The reason being is the CRT monitor really needs an interlaced timeline, not a progressive timeline. Now, the ADVC 110 by Canopus could output just about any frame rate, any aspect ratio, and any resolution by default to the CRT monitor. If you had a 4K timeline, it's obviously not going to play at the full 4K resolution. It would rasterize it down 720 by 480 in an interlaced timeline to play out to the old CRT monitor. That's basically what the DV converter does. It's converting it into a compliant frame rate, aspect ratio, and resolution that the CRT monitor can handle. With the Intensity Shuttle, if you have 4K video files that were shot at 24 frames per second, you can right-click and have it, make a sequence that has the same frame rate, aspect ratio, and resolution as your 4K video file. But you would have to go into that sequence within Premiere Pro and set it up at 29.97 frames per second, drop frames, mind you, as well, and you'd have to go from progressive and switch it to an interlaced sequence or timeline. If you switch it to an interlaced timeline or sequence at 29.97 with drop frame, then it will be broadcast compliant for the old CRT monitor, and you can get the 4K images to play out to the CRT monitor. I want to say that with the Blackmagic Design Intensity Shuttle, I recorded with my Hi8 camcorder, I recorded from a DVD player, I recorded from a Blu-ray player as well. Everything seemed to work 100% correctly. I went to some discussion forums though and found out that people said they couldn't record VHS tapes with the Blackmagic Design Intensity Shuttle. There's a lot of truth to that. If you recorded some VHS off of an old VCR that you bought from Best Buy or Circuit City, or if you had a VHS camcorder from Best Buy or Circuit City, the Intensity Shuttle probably won't record that video. As some people stated in discussion forums, the Intensity Shuttle needs a strong broadcast quality signal. Otherwise, it just won't record. It'll flash on the screen like every other second. You'll get a little glimpse of the video, but it's not going to record the way you would like. I want to say I couldn't get my Intensity Shuttle to record any of my old VHS tapes that I made personally myself back like 25, 30 years ago. So there's a lot of truth to what people were saying. I want to say that the Intensity Shuttle can capture VHS tapes. The way I was able to do that is I had a standard definition timeline or sequence in Premiere Pro, and I output that sequence to this VCR using the Blackmagic Design Intensity Shuttle. I was using a brand new VHS tape. Once I recorded it to the VHS tape, I output that back to the Blackmagic Design Intensity Shuttle, and I was able to capture it. I think it's because the Blackmagic Design product is somewhat broadcast quality compliant. Premiere Pro works with broadcast compliant equipment. I think that's why I was able to do that. If I wanted to record for a client who had a VHS tape that they recorded 20, 30 years ago, the Canopus ADVC 110 will do it. So as far as recording VHS tapes, the Canopus ADVC 110 wins hands down against the Blackmagic Design Intensity Shuttle. However, the Blackmagic Design Intensity Shuttle can record in high definition, and it can record in standard definition just fine. Like I stated, it could record from my DVD just fine because DVDs have a lot stronger and cleaner signal than you're going to get from VHS tapes. I made this video because my videos in the past comparing the ADVC 110 to the Intensity Shuttle didn't focus on video capture at all. I didn't have a clue that the Intensity Shuttle had a hard time capturing VHS tape from old camcorders that were purchased from Best Buy or Circuit City. Another reason I wanted to make this video is because some of you may have seen my videos in the past where it was really easy to switch between the Intensity Shuttle and the ADVC 110. I kept the ADVC 110 connected to my computer because if I wanted to see 4K that was shot at 24 frames per second, or my drone footage, or anything that was maybe shot in progressive, I didn't know how to get the Intensity Shuttle to output to the CRT monitor, the 4K or even 2.7K video files. Once I figured out I could convert them to interlaced timelines at 29.97 frames per second, that it would be compliant with the CRT monitor. I also noticed that I could get the Intensity Shuttle to work with odd aspect ratios and odd frame rates by simply using an adjustment layer and exporting things out correctly using Premiere Pro. So that's mainly why I made this video, to let people know I don't have the ADVC 110 connected to my computer anymore, and I'm glad that the Intensity Shuttle can do a lot more than what I originally thought it could do when using Premiere Pro. The only way I'd hook up the ADVC 110 to my computer again is if I had to capture VHS tapes for a client. It does do a lot better job at capturing video from VHS than the Intensity Shuttle does.